Join me today as we say farewell to transparent neon orange. Alright, allow me to introduce our guest today. Transparent neon orange. It's a familiar face to many of us, hopefully. Is this year 29 years old. First saw this color in 1993. It's a nice long history. Has been a big part of many themes over the years. I'll cover that a little bit as we get into the video. There are some imposters in here. The first thing I want to do is demonstrate one of the special features of this color that only a few other colors have, and something that makes a very small selection of pieces stand out among all of the colors LEGO has produced over the years, and not just the current range. So we'll kill the lights here, and then we'll bring in some ultraviolet. Transparent neon orange is so named due to its effect under ultraviolet or black light, and it's pretty obvious which pieces are not reacting to my flashlight. So we've got one over here, a 2x2 round brick that doesn't seem to be glowing at all. A couple of these flame elements are also remaining somewhat dark. So if I bring the light back on, it's not as easy to see in regular light, but the regular transparent orange is different. Properties are different than its neon cousin. We'll look at these two flames here for direct comparison. Again, the ultraviolet, which one of these is glowing? So that is what sets this color apart the most, I believe, would be that reaction to ultraviolet light, and really what makes it stand out when it was released in 1993 from those themes. Ice Planet 2002 was one of the inaugural themes, and I'm not sure if it was used extensively, but some of the advertising from the 90s, not necessarily from that theme, but from AquaZone and Aqua Raiders, used the blacklight effect, especially for their other color, transparent neon green. So this property was utilized early on. I think it hasn't been emphasized as much over the years, but it does make for an opportunity to include that in a display, whereas for other colors it actually doesn't do anything, or some of the solid colors look pretty ugly, and there are actually different shades that look the same in regular light, and then all of a sudden they turn into a checkerboard under the ultraviolet. So that's worth exploring another day. I've got a couple examples out here from throughout the years. Some of the biggest ones would be the Dragon Wing, the Nexo Knights canopy. This one is special. This is a visor on one of the Ice Planet helmets. Some other Nexo Knight pieces, the flames, of course. When it comes to some of these fire pieces, these are the ones that start to get used across many different themes. More of a universal piece than something specialized like the Dragon Wing or the Nexo Knights armor. So you have a little bit of both. You have your specialized molds that really only get used within a certain theme or two, and then you have your general use molds that have made transparent neon orange a powerhouse for LEGO over the years, and a color that most LEGO collectors will probably have at least a few pieces of, even if they haven't been buying a lot of LEGO, or even going back if they're an older collector in the 90s, or if they're a more recent collector looking at themes like Nexo Knights and Monkey Kid, even as recent as 2020, containing great mixes of this transparent neon orange color. So you may ask why we're saying goodbye to such an interesting LEGO color, and I would ask the same thing, but I would ask it of the LEGO group, because it appears that, get our recorder going here, it appears that they have decided to retire the transparent neon orange color. I'm getting this information from one of their videos on their YouTube channel, and this was actually published in 2020 relating to the release of dots, or if not the release, then one of the wave releases, as dots continued to get rolled out. One of the shots in the videos actually ended up showing this color palette, and I won't go into too much detail about what these are, but basically there's an internal system that LEGO uses to keep track of which colors are in current production that they are able to use in the sets they design. Of course, as collectors with the secondary market, we have a lot more range on which colors are out there that are available to find. And of course, some of the ones that are retired and more exclusive are harder to find, but we can still build away to our heart's content with pretty much the entire range of colors. For the designers working on the official sets that come out year after year, they're kind of restricted to a subset of the current production colors that LEGO has that they are keeping up their mixes for. Just keep in mind, from a production standpoint, you only want to have a certain number of slots before things start to get too convoluted. They actually ran into trouble with this in the early 2000s. They had to cut back on not only the number of colors they had, but the ways that they were using those colors and the number of different pieces they were molding as well. So could go into that in a whole lot more detail, but for now, just know that they use these palettes to keep track of which colors they're going to be using for a given time period. Usually it's year by year. This is hosted on Flickr, posted by Ryan Howarder. On the right side, you can actually see that they had introduced these opalescent colors, our kind of shimmery white, pink, blues, and the brown. We've seen those over the past couple years in various sets. And on the left, we can see a couple of these colors have a little sticker on them. And one of them is the vibrant pink. It's 353, the vibrant coral color. It's somewhat recent, introduced I think 2018 or 2019. The other one is 47, transparent neon orange. And the sticker, as far as we can tell, has an exit date. So for the opalescent colors, that exit date looks like it's 2023. For vibrant pink, that would be this year, it looks like. And transparent neon orange has a 2021 exit date. There was a comment down here from Richard Jones where he has typed out what they seem to say. Transparent neon orange would be December 31st, 2021. So if that's the case, we are in 2022 and we're past the cutoff for this color. Have we seen any sets that use transparent neon orange released this year? So that's kind of the question to ask to actually determine whether or not we'll be following the information on this chart. And I think the fastest way to verify that I know of is on Rebrickable. So something I found that you can do is look at part colors individually, and you can actually sort things. There's a lot of options on here. I looked at this a little bit in the periodic table video. Today I'm going to jump straight into transparent neon orange. We'll sort this by ID, and we should be going to 57 based on the color chart. So here we have transparent neon orange. We can see our release year, 1993, and Rebrickable will try to keep track of which parts are in the database and use that to determine when this color was last seen. And so for the chrome antique brass color right below us here, the last time Rebrickable saw a piece in this color was 2005. You can click through to see which parts have been released in chrome antique brass and sort that by date, and then you can see which time that piece was used, that color was used for the last time. So that's what I actually want to do for transparent neon orange. it looks like Rubricable is keeping track of 5,475 different parts that have been released in this color. I do want to note here, this isn't the final word on if the color is retired or not, because Rubricable is an independent site. This is not owned by LEGO, it's not run by LEGO, and they're not necessarily verifying this for Rubricable. But at the same time, in the last 10 to 15 years, going back especially to sites like Bricklink that started keeping track of the database side from from a public standpoint, not necessarily something that we're relying on the LEGO group to put out for us, but kind of a community effort of keeping track of these things. And pretty much year over year it's just gotten more and more refined, better and better in terms of the quality of the data coming in and catching everything that the LEGO group releases. So yeah, it's still a little bit fuzzy in the early years. People weren't really keeping track of things. The internet has done a lot for this as well in terms of collaboration. So when it comes to recent data, these sites are pretty good. Data quality is pretty good. We can be pretty certain about the dates. Not necessarily as much for the old stuff, but for today, looking at transparent neon orange, 93 to 2021, we're going to be pretty certain about these dates. So let's actually jump through and look at these pieces themselves. This is going to pull up a page that contains all of the parts released in transparent neon orange that Rubricable is aware of. So from here, I am going to clean this up a little bit, move this slider to 93, and I'll roll this back to 21. Actually, that shouldn't really change anything, but that's going to kind of restrict our window to where we currently expect to see parts in this color. And from here you can get a pretty decent idea of which pieces have actually been released. In fact, this piece here, there's a lot of variations, but it's the same mold. It just has some different decorations on it. And then you can kind of look through and see the different part styles. Visors are all in a row here, so that's nice. Kind of got your brick styled elements up here. And it wouldn't really take that long to just go through part by part and see, where these have been used, see which ones are considered rare, not as common, that kind of thing. But we can actually come back up to the slider here and roll this up to 2021. We're going to move the end date to 22, just so that we're certain we haven't seen anything in the last 2 years. We'll run this search again, and now it just pulls up 5 elements, and this is the last group of parts released in transparent neon orange as of April 2022. None of them are from this year. So far it looks like this board is telling us the truth. We haven't necessarily seen any sets that use this color release in 2022. And we can also see kind of which pieces were the last of the group to be sent out, kind of the rear guard of transparent neon orange. So that's kind of interesting. The thing that you might want to look into, that you could ask, is maybe why this is getting dropped off now. I think some of it is related to inventory control on the side of LEGO, just trying to keep the number of different items that they're producing and stocking and keeping track of from an internal standpoint. If you can keep that low, that's always good. You don't want it too low because then you don't have product variety, but if you start going too high, then you start to get into some of the difficulties they were having in the early 2000s, and there's plenty that's been recorded and researched about that. And in general, that that applies industry-wide. That's not just LEGO. So that does make sense. And we also see that there have been new colors coming in over the past couple of years. All of those opalescent colors are not necessarily completely new. It seems like there's kind of a mix that's added into the base transparent color. So in terms of a completely new color mix, it's maybe not quite that intensive, but it is another 5 items to keep track of. We also saw this year the vibrant neon yellow, which is a solid color. So perhaps it was more of a trade-off of a color in, a color out, just trying to keep things somewhat steady, probably allowing for a little bit of growth, but not ballooning out of control. The other thing that I have noticed as I've dug into this is over the past 5 years, so going back to about 2017, maybe back one more year to 2016, there have been 3 main themes that have actually used this color very heavily. In 2016, we saw the introduction of Nexonites, and Nexonites decided to use this as their main transparent color when it comes to vehicle windshields, when it comes to accents, and in general, Nexonites was kind of a futuristic take on a castle theme, and so part of that involved the use of transparent pieces where possibly before you would have seen something more solid. And so that allowed for a lot of transparent pieces to get used in the theme and actually introduce new molds as well that we hadn't seen in this color. And so that grew for a little while. I think Nexonites was done in 2017 or 2018. And then kind of picking up from there, we started to see transparent neon orange in Ninjago a little bit, and also in Monkey Kid. And Monkey Kid really within the last 2 years, 2020, and a little bit of 2021. But once again, Monkey Kid in 2020 picking up on the transparent neon orange as kind of their main transparent color. This time I think it was specifically for just one faction of the two opposed teams in the theme. So you have your Monkey Kid team are the good guys. A lot of those vehicles stuck with the standard transparent regular clear glass, but then on the other side you have the bad guys, and a lot of their vehicles and their home bases use this transparent neon orange, kind of more of a threatening color, and it ties into the color scheme of their vehicles and that kind of thing. And then beyond that, going all the way back to its introduction, the Ice Planet 2002 theme has really been defined by its use of transparent neon orange. This was one of the themes that saw the introduction of the color, and so when this came out, this was a brand new LEGO color. People hadn't seen it before, and releasing it in Ice Planet probably did a lot for its acceptance as a fun color and not as something that fell by the wayside as quickly. And so you had that really strong in those first 2 years, 93 and 94. I think the next year was kind of as Ice Planet faded out and it got picked up in the Aquazone theme. There were only a couple sets that used it, but it kept the color alive and it kept it in production, and kind of allowed it to be more established. So within those first 5 years, it got a really good running start in 2 solid themes, and it got molded in some larger pieces in those windscreens as well. And so after that, it was pretty much used on and off, and it allowed for, like I mentioned, the use of the fire elements, so the flame elements. Once it got molded in that kind of a part, or even something as simple as a 1x1 round plate, it became a lot more versatile as a piece, and it could be included in an entire range of other themes without being used as an accent color per se. And so you have a theme like Adventurers, where you need a campfire, and all of a sudden this transparent neon orange color makes a really good campfire flame. And so it really starts to work its way into the entire theme groups year after year, and into some of the more common elements as well. It even ended up in some of the bricks, which doesn't happen for transparent pieces a lot. So you did see that. And then through the 2000s, Star Wars picked it up a couple of times. It had a smattering of other uses, and we didn't really see anything using it as an accent again until I think Nexonites would be kind of the biggest player when it comes to which themes used this color the most. And so it had a really strong 5-year run starting in 2016, and then 2021, possibly within that time frame is when LEGO actually decided, hey, we're going to phase this color out and bring something else in. Since we're bringing this out, let's just use it as much as we can in these current themes so that people can actually have a nice stock of this color before we drop it off and move forward. That's pretty much speculation on my part. I haven't heard anything from the LEGO group. Pretty much all we have that is official is this color chart to go off of, and so far it seems like this is being confirmed as of which pieces are released so far this year. So yeah, it is a bit of a bummer that transparent neon orange is probably going away as a retired color. The one thing I will mention here at the end is we saw the dark turquoise color get phased out in the late 2000s, and then later on in about 2016 that color was brought back. LEGO tried to match their mix, and so they tried to color match their original dark turquoise color to their current dark turquoise production color. I think it's pretty close for the most part. It takes pretty good investigation to determine if a piece is in the original color or if it's more of a modern piece. I think there's just enough difference in the way that it's mixed, and the mold, the mold machines over the years changing as well. But they have that capability to bring something back that had previously been retired. I don't necessarily think they're going to do that for this color because it has a very similar mix that has pretty much established itself, and the regular transparent orange doesn't have any stickers on it on the palette, so that seems like it's pretty much a mainstay color. And like I kind of emphasized, the use that we saw where this got ramped up over the past couple of years, I think that was an effort to put transparent neon orange in pieces that it would have otherwise not been seen in. Maybe had it a longer life, we would have got pieces over the years. But maybe this was just an attempt to accelerate that process so that they could kind of phase it out and not have it really restricted in the same way that other retired colors are that have come and gone. So, transparent neon orange, it's probably time to say goodbye. It will be missed. The ultraviolet gimmick is a lot of fun. I think it's still going to be pretty easy to pick up these pieces. They're not super rare. Like, the color in general is not super rare. It has seen a really wide release in its 28 years of life. So especially looking at recent themes that have used this color means that there is a lot of recent stock on the secondary market, and that's probably going to help keep prices down even over the next 10 years as those sets fall more and more into the retired range. Recent sets probably produced in higher volume. Overall, a higher volume of the transparent neon orange parts are out there compared to certain other colors. But I guess it's just going to take time to see if something else does come in to fill the shoes of transparent neon orange. Something that I also looked at is, like, Monkey Kid, still a current theme. What are they using instead of this color now for their windshields? And one of the sets that has been released in that theme this year is a rocket ship, and it uses a transparent red canopy. And so, that slight shift to is still a transparent color that isn't your regular old clear transparent. Is still kind of something catches your eye and gives you a color theme, but it is a step away from their previous use of this color. And that's what I see as kind of the confirmation of this getting phased out from that standpoint. And really, that the LEGO Group sees transparent red, regular transparent orange as a valid alternative to what was previously a very nice accent color with that hidden gimmick. So there's a couple other neon colors still going around, so that functionality is still in the system, but I think that's the end of the chapter for this guy. Had a really good run. Will always be remembered in Ice Planet 2002. I think it really established itself right off the bat in that respect, and then it got really respectable closing 5 years in 3 of the big themes that have been done recently. And who's to say it won't come back? we'll keep an eye out for it. Thanks for watching today, guys. We'll see you next time on Brick System Brothers.